Okay, right, now I can't hear. Lady in red again. Thought I was losing my mind. The test. Alright, I can be heard on YouTube. Starting to come in. Oh, this has been a this has been a heck of an introduction. Alright, okay, well you guys are on a bit of a lag, so you should be able to see me on YouTube soon. Ooh, hooray. You should be, more importantly, be able to hear me. And if neither of those things are true, then may God strike me down. Nope, I'm still here. So that could mean one of two things. Can everybody hear me on YouTube? Give me some love in the chat. You don't have to give me love. That's kind of a gross thing to say. You can just say yes so we can hear you. All right, I got yes. Okay, cool. All right, I will do the charming and witty introduction I did earlier while nobody could hear me. I'll do that again, but it won't be charming and witty this time because I've already done that. So I'm just going to do it like a piece of shit. Okay, all right. Exciting. Are we all excited? I'm excited. I've had 2 beers. Yeah, we are gathered here today, dearly beloved, to acknowledge the fact that the Brandon Thighmaster Beats Up Dracula Kickstarter is fully funded, which means it will definitely be happening. It is being written. I'm in talks with audio producers to get the audio book out. So you say, well, why are we here? You don't need any of my money, you filthy beggar. Well, the original £1,500 goal is not just so I can sit on a small pile of money and be gross about it. Basically, that's probably going to cost what the book costs to produce. So, editing, audio producer, sending out physical copies. There might be a little bit left over for me, in which case I will squander that immediately, which I think is my right. But yeah, if you don't know already, if you're new here, Brandon Thighmaster is the world's foremost, mostly nude kung fu machine. A sweet guy, but refuses to wear clothes. And you may have heard of him, I hope you have, in the Totally Legend of Brandon Thighmaster and some other guys, and Brandon Thighmaster and the Dude Cruise. But now he's going to appear in Brandon Thighmaster Beats Up Dracula. And if you haven't contributed to the Kickstarter yet, you can get some perks that you won't otherwise get by waiting for the book to come out. For instance, if you buy the digital copy, you will get that before anyone else does. You'll also have your name written in the book as a thank you, kind of a wall of thanks at the end. Most people like thank their publisher or their spouse or God, but I have none of those things. And yeah, so you could get the digital copy, you can get a hard copy, which means you get first look at a digital copy and the thanks and a hard copy. And you can get the audiobook, which means you get all of those things and the audiobook. You get the audiobook before anybody else. Chat says, is Wally going to be narrating this one as well for the audiobook? I hope so, yes. Unless he gets struck by a meteorite, which, he might. I have no control over that. So I'm not going to say 100% yes, but I'm going to say probably. The Acolyte bundle, that will get you all of those things, but also a Brandon Thighmaster artwork postcard signed by yours truly and delivered to your door. Yeah, you don't get that in a fucking Walmart, do you? Shelf stacker tier, that is purely for somebody who's just stumbled in saying, I don't know what Brandon Thighmaster is, but I do like having books on my shelf. You can get all of the Brandon Thighmaster books delivered to your door, along with a postcard, along with the digital stuff, along with the digital audio book, all that stuff. And if you were quicker, you could have been a named character. Oh, that would have been sweet, man. Your name would have been in the book, the character. You could be in a little gnome or something. A little gnome with a gun. Or I don't know. I haven't finished it yet. But yeah, that's gone now. And part of why you're here today is to hear me read from the book. But I also thought it would be fun if we could get these numbers up a little bit, get a bit more money in the kitty. I'm going to say if we get to 1800, everyone who has donated to a tier of this Kickstarter is going to get a free signed copy of Everyone You Love Will Be Eaten by Wolves, my short story collection that is both hilarious and depressing, filled with wondrous concepts and spiraling insanity. So I'm going to, if this reaches 1800 quid by the end of this stream, and it might not, I can accept that. You should accept that too. Sometimes you got to accept things, man. If that happens, everybody who has donated to any tier level on this Kickstarter will get a free book signed by me. All right, I suppose I should start reading things. Who have we got in the chat first? Condor, dude. Somebody called Lagtastic Clippy Army. I don't know why you'd call yourself that. Bethany Snelson, hello. Apparently there are 5,612 of you. Lacquer, 134. We got Kyle the Goof. Hello, Kyle. Yeah, I think we got a nice little crowd going on here, haven't we? Yeah. All right, let's do some reading then. Just think I'm going to have some of my reading juice. Ah, I already wasted a lot of my voice just talking into the void when nobody could hear me. So, it's a tough life being an internet dickhead. But here we are. Just going to do a little check on the Facebook, just to see if anybody is alone there. I don't want anyone to be alone on a Friday night, least of all me. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Is that no one? Is that big fan no one on the Facebook? A couple of watchers, nobody talking. I'll do my best, Facebookers. Um, but honestly, I'm much more likely to see the YouTube window because it's just there. That's what I keep looking at, because I'm on it. Oh, and some other guys. So yeah. Okay. Enough stalling. Here we go. The Totally Legend of Brandon Thighmaster. An Authors and Dragons tale. Oh yeah, all this shit's based on a podcast called Authors and Dragons. I should have mentioned that up top. Maybe I did while I was just flapping my mouth uselessly with no sound coming out. But yeah, if you're new here, for any reason you've just stumbled here, Authors and Dragons is a podcast. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on podcast platforms. You like good writers playing bad D&D? Boy, do I have the oddly specific podcast for you, bucko. Back to the story. Copyright Steve Werrell. That's me. All rights reserved. I can barely see this. I'm going to be doing this a lot. Got old man eyes. Across the Iron Plains and above the Bowood Forest stood the Trapezius Mountains, bulbous and huge. Local legend says that the earth was once flat until one day it began flexing, becoming the craggy, rugged, and sexually attractive earth we know today. At the peak of the eastern trapezius, some would argue the more pronounced of the two, there lay a temple, carved into the stone eons since, its pillars and balconies thrust into the sky with suggestive confidence, the stonework smooth and undulating. The only adornment hung above the heavy wooden gates that served as the temple's only entrance. It was a large brass relief of 4 vertical strips and 1 shorter horizontal strip, positioned within a circle, the imprint of the Temple of the Many Fists. On the various levels of the temple, throngs of human bodies engaged in a particular exercise, some in complicated calisthenics, some training with weights, some merely flexing and checking their form in front of the various reflecting pools. At the very top of the temple was a plateau of plain white flagstones, and at the center one monk stood alone, but for his master. The master was the abbot, and though he was ancient in years, he was still very much ripped. His leathery old skin stretched taut across defined musculature, and though his eyes were rheumy and his teeth crooked, his eyebrow and mustache game was astonishingly on fleek. He stared at his student with weariness in his heart. This was a talk he had been meaning to have for some time. The student stood holding the ready position of the way of the totally fighting, his limbs stretched elegantly, every muscle taut and rigid as steel cable. Brandon-san, the abbot croaked. Show me casual tiger owns opposition. The student, Brandon, sprung into action, leaning back as though reclining in an invisible chair, while his arms waved in a series of quick slashes. Now show me. Suggestive snake comes at bro. Brandon shifted form instantly, languidly rising from the recline of it as his bent fist weaved fluidly before him. Soaring Eagle renounces Beta Cuck. The form changed again, Brandon's arms flowing down gracefully at his sides while his legs snapped a precise front kick before him. He landed perfectly, as still and taut as a lion taking a dump. The abbot grunted. The form was unquestionably precise, but still he was troubled. Brandon-san, what does it mean to be a monk? The student did not hesitate. To seek perfection so that we may be at one with the universe. And how is perfection achieved? Rigorous physical discipline, absolution of form, purity of mind. And Brandon frowned. Being great? The abbot shook his head. Super great. Brandon-san, it is for this reason I have asked you here today. We must talk. Brandon relaxed from his ready position. If I'd known we would have been talking, I'd have warmed up my talking muscles. The abbot gestured for Brandon to kneel beside him. That is what we must talk about. This is not a conversation about your muscles. Brandon sighed. Well, that is a damn shame, Master, if you don't mind me saying so. Do not get me wrong, Brandon-san. Your muscles are worthy of deep and serious discussion. Indeed, of all the acolytes of the Temple of the Many Fists, you are by far the most super buff. Thanks. I've been working out, said Brandon modestly, for as long as I can remember. Constantly. As you should, young acolyte. But you must remember that physical musculature, while important, is not everything. Brandon jerked suddenly. What was that? Asked the abbot. I do not know, Master. I had this sudden and inexplicable urge to slap you in the face. I must have briefly entertained a demon. The abbot sighed. You know, when your parents left you here, we promised to raise you as you would any other monk. And we have. Your form, your physical discipline, it is more than we could hope from any student. But, yes? I worry about your soul, Brandon-san. I worry that your spiritual fortitude has stagnated beneath the weight of your admittedly glorious physical form. Brandon blinked. I don't worry about that at all. I know, but you must if you want to achieve true perfection. You already have buffness of the body. You must now strive for buffness of the soul. Then how, Master? How do I take my soul and make it as totally ripped as my body? You must seek reflection of the self. You mean like with mirrors? The abbot sighed again. No, I mean inner contemplation. Meditate with me, Brandon-san. The abbot closed his eyes. Seek your center. Relax into the quiet dark of your mind. Find the inner truth of your soul. Journey to the... The abbot opened one eye. Brandon, are you doing push-ups? Brandon looked up sheepishly from his push-ups. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't notice. The abbot shook his head slowly and rose to his feet. Brandon-san, you have never left the confines of this table, is that correct? Well, why would I, Master? I have everything I need right here. Killer weight room, plentiful protein, lots of reflecting pools. The world beyond our walls is large beyond measure, young acolyte, and there is much to be learned and experienced. The other masters and I have been talking, and we agree that it is time for you to go out into the world. You will become a journeyman, the pilgrimage beyond the sight of the Trapezius Mountains. Brandon gazed out over the horizons. Are you sure, Master? I mean, the world looks so small from here. I mean, look at those distant trees. Weak, pathetic. Things become smaller the further you are away from them. Ah, very wise. You're saying that in order to appreciate something, I must be close to it. No, that wasn't a metaphor, Brandon-san. That was just basic science. I worry that we may have overlooked a few things in your early education. Brandon nodded. Interesting. Brandon-san, I am thinking, Master, that you have not asked the other acolytes to go out into the world. Why just me? The abbot walked across the balcony's edge and gestured at the variously exercising, uniformly shirtless masses below. Tell me, Brandon-san, what do you see? Brandon looked out over the sea of writhing flesh. My brothers and sisters of the temple. Yes, all the disciplines out in stunning display. Over there the delt blasters and the ab crunchers, and over there the glute rangers squatting endlessly. See how in harmony they are. Many disciplines, one path. The abbot turned and put a hand on Brandon's shoulder. Of all the acolytes and all the disciplines, you, Brandon of the Thighmasters, show the most promise of all, but you are incomplete. We see something special within you, Brandon Thighmaster, but we feel that the safety and sanctity of these walls has stunted your spiritual growth. You must go out into the world and find your destiny, and return to us ready to take your place among the masters. Brandon nodded. That's radical. It is indeed very radical. But also, please take your hand from my shoulder, Master. It makes me uncomfortable. The abbot removed his hand. Ah, yes, your vow of celibacy. You realize you don't have to be so stringent. Yes. It just feels inappropriate, Master. The abbot nodded. Perhaps this too is part of your spiritual development. The world may challenge some of your preconceptions. I'm sure there's nothing in the world I cannot handle, Master. I am, after all, Brandon Thighmaster. You are indeed my pupil. You are indeed. The abbot waited by the heavy gates. Several of the other masters gathered around him. A light snow drifted in the sky, and the air was crisp and invigorating. Above them, the brass fist symbol of the temple glinted in the morning sunshine. It is a good day to go out into the world, said the abbot to no one in particular. It is enough to make a man pine for his youth. The master of chest expanders gestured towards the temple's grand central staircase, where a figure approached. And speaking of youth, my friend, the master of glute rangers squinted. What in the universe's name is he wearing? Is he wearing nothing? That seems a little forward considering his vows. Oh, no, wait, it's not nothing. There's definitely some material. From a distance, little could be seen of Brandon's clothing but his traveling pack, waterskin, and sandals. But as he came closer, it seemed he was only just wearing a pair of incredibly small leather undershorts. Masters? He nodded at each in turn. At the Temple of the Many Fists, various states of shirtlessness was expected. But even with their combined worldly experience, there was something about Brandon's attire that seemed indecent, almost as if being entirely naked would have been less revealing somehow. Brandon-san, said the abbot, your clothes? Brandon looked down. Oh yeah, travel light, move fast, am I right? He beamed. I'm not sure right is the word I'm looking for here. Wrong, said the master of the Glue Rangers. So very, very wrong. Brandon continued, oblivious. I made it from an old pair of sandals. I'm calling it a thong, as that is essentially what it is. But where are your genitals? Oh, I found that with a little bit of effort I can tuck the whole shebang right up inside. Please desist immediately, said the abbot. You have at least plenty of water. He gestured to Brandon's water skin. Water? Oh no, this isn't filled entirely with body oil. The abbot blinked. Okay. And food? Brandon gestured to his laden backpack. Nothing but protein, he grinned. The masters exchanged glances while the abbot cleared his throat. Brandon-san, you are a special child. You will be greatly missed. Oh, totally, said Brandon. Absolutely. And now you must go out into the world. Cool, said Brandon. Cool, cool, cool. The wooden gates opened with a loud and ominous creak, the snowy rocks of the Trapezium Mountains waiting just outside. Well, said Brandon, see ya. And with that he strode confidently into the wilds. The masters watched him go. He is unique, certainly. Perhaps our interpretation of the scrolls is correct, and he is indeed the chosen one, destined to usher in a new age of enlightenment. Perhaps, said the abbot. I hope so. The alternative is that we have just sent an idiot to his death. Brandon had been traveling for 3 days, gone with the challenging mountain rocks and the cool thin air. Now he trudged through the bowwood forests where the atmosphere was heavier and the sun hidden behind the tall, waving trees. The trees, now that he saw them up close, did not seem so pathetic. After a few attempts at knocking them down, he discovered they were strong, like stone, yet moved gracefully in the wind. All this without any visible musculature. Brandon remained quietly suspicious of the trees and begrudgingly walked in their shadow. He headed steadily downwards with no particular direction in mind, confident that the universe would guide him on his way. So far it had taken him into several hidden ditches and pitfalls, but Brandon saw these as blessings. Climbing was excellent cardio and really worked the forearms, and suddenly falling was a great test of his reaction times. As the sun began to set on the third day, Brandon sat upon a rocky outcrop across a shallow cliff edge and stared over the heads of the trees to the horizon beyond. The sky turned first purple and then black as the sun set behind him, and the stars blossomed into brilliance. A million lights, each as bright as the others, standing out against the dark with quiet glory. Brandon contemplated the majesty of the void before him, and for the first time in his life was distracted utterly by a beauty beyond his own. Universe, he said out loud, I'm going to get in you. And that'll be a chapter, I guess. How have we done? Oh, we've got another backer. Exciting. Who is the other backer? I don't know. I don't actually know how to look at that. Whoever you are, thank you. You've you haven't quite got us to the 1800 mark, where everybody gets a free copy of Everyone You Love Will Be Eaten by Wolves, signed by myself and delivered to your door. But thank you anyway. Regardless of what level you've backed me at, you've backed the book at, you will be getting your name mentioned in the book. So there's that. Taking a little break right now. Hmm. Normally on these things, we kind of set a target per chapter. Like if we get £7,000, I will read another chapter, but probably not $7,000. Um, Mousegasm in the chat. I assume it's pronounced mousegasm and not mousegism. 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 Oh yeah, welcome to the chat. You're never alone with Jack Daniels and Mr. Jim Bean. Uh, True. No less depressing, but true. Ah, How is everybody's Friday night? Hit me up, chat. Oh yeah, from Condor. What's everyone drinking? What is everyone drinking? I am drinking Hobgoblin Gold Beer, the golden beer. I don't know why this beer is any more golden than any other beer. And let's be real, piss is golden, isn't it? Doesn't seem like a strong point, but I've got it. It's here. Drinking it. It's fine. No, it's quite nice. It's all right. And it comes in a big old can as well. Look at that. Booyah. Big old can. Speaking of big old can, no, I'm going to get a can. That wasn't any sort of rude joke. Jeez. Ah, Nakaturo, #1 in the chat. Got a 30 rack in the fridge. Cheap stuff. Um, Nothing wrong with the cheap stuff, mate. I've been hanging around with Bevan enough to know that. You got to pick the beer for the situation. Sometimes you just need a good, cheap beer. Sometimes you just need 30 of them. Lactastic Clippy Army and his bizarre name, or their bizarre name. Drinking just a crappy Bud Light Lime. You see, you've lost me on the lime there. I can handle a Bud Light. In the right situation, a Bud Light is what you need. But with lime, I don't know. Let's not put lipstick on a shit, or whatever the expression is. Uh, Mousegasm, Tullamore Dew. Is that a drink or is that a hobbit? I don't know what that is. I'm going to assume you're American. You might not be American. You could be from anywhere. You can be from anywhere you want to be. But I don't know what Tullamore Dew is. What's the goal for another chapter? Good question. What do you reckon is reasonable? I haven't done this in a while. I think the last time I did this was funding the Shingles movie. That was a wild time. Sometimes I wake up and think, oh yeah, I made a movie. And the grown woman has sex with a garden gnome in it. I think, wow, my life is great. Mousegasm, drinking Irish whiskey. What did Bob do? I've never really been able to tell the difference between whiskies. Call me a traitor to my ancestry if you must, but it will just taste like a bad time to me. My experience of whiskey was in university, where it was available £1 a shot over the bar in the dive bar I used to attend, and that was uh, its only redeeming quality, whatever that awful crap was. Put me right off. I'll be I'll be honest. Put me off whiskey. Can't handle the manly drinks. Condor suggesting that Bob did $50 a chapter. Well, we've already had 30, so let's say 20. I'm already a 30 above target. So another $20 and another. Oh shit, I've got. Okay, well, another $2. Another $2, and we shall have another chapter. Just 2 bits, and I will read from the book. Got to check in on the Facebook peoples. Everybody all right on Facebook? Doing okay? Oh, you'll notice I sound a little bit bunged up. It's because it's cold in England and it's late where I am. Sorry if I don't seem vibrant. I will try. I'm trying to read and it's like, oh, my old man eyes. I need more light in here. I need basically the sun to be in here for me to read comfortably. But we're having a good time. That's the important thing, isn't it? We're all having a nice time. And for just $2 more, you can have you can continue to have a nice time. Oh God, I sound like such a whore. Just 2 bits, bub, and I'll keep you busy for 10 minutes. We got Chuck Mellinger on the Facebook. He's give it a like. I don't know if he's looking at it. Wait, how does this work? No, that's not the live link, is it? Gosh, I'm such a boomer. I'm laughing, but I am though. Got no idea what I'm doing there. If you're on Facebook, I apologize. Hopefully you can hear me and see me. But if you're trying to interact with me, it ain't gonna happen. I'm not ignoring you because I'm ignorant. I am not hearing you because I'm ignorant. Nakatura, Nakataru, Nakataru, one. Nakataru says, I used to go to a dive bar that had liters of Bush Light for $1 from 9 till 11. You could get smashed with a $5 bill. Yeah, absolutely. That would, a liter of anything ain't going to be your friend. But for $1, I don't need friends. I just need allies. Oh, Mousegasm. Oh, well done. You put us right up there. You've definitely bought us another chapter. Well done, you. I have to get off my ass now. Start delivering. Thank you, Mousegasm. Or Mousegasm. Um, if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, I apologize. It's not intended to be a microaggression. Hmm. Now, where were we? Pretty Bright Blade was pretty fucked, she surmised. Tied by her feet from a tree branch perilously close to a campfire, she waited for the three orcs to decide what to do with her. She was quietly thankful that they were so slow in coming to an agreement, as the options so far were all equally grisly. Maybe we have some fun with her, said one. Ugh, Grank, you disgusting. She looked like Otter. You never have fun with Otter before? Nah. Drac draw a line at semi-aquatic weasels. Drac's standards seem pretty fucking arbitrary from Clank's point of view. Bental says we eat her face. Bental says that about all the girls. Bental is consistent in his message. Bental is friend you can rely on. Pretty slowly tried to swing herself from side to side, her short black hair floating softly around her head. She hoped she could loosen the rope at her ankles, but she didn't have a plan much beyond that. If she were the kind of person who could take on three orcs by herself, she wouldn't have been captured by three orcs. Still, while her meager weaponry was placed beyond her reach, she had a dagger hidden in her boot. If she was quick enough, she could maybe take down one of them before the others ground her into the mud. Grank is thinking only with little Grank. Has no respect for desires of friends. Grank submit the Bentel can eat face after Grank is done with it. Bentel submit that Grank can keep his dick far away from Bentel's food. That's solid advice. Drac submit that both Grank and Bentel whine like tiny bitches. Allow Grank to submit some speculations on Drac's parentage. Pretty was at least thankful that there were only three. They must have been a hunting and trapping party. They had been scouting party, that would mean her companions would probably be discovered. Even if she did escape, she wasn't looking forward to facing her companions. She had told them she was an expert rogue, and what kind of expert rogue gets jumped by orcs, creatures with all the stealth and subtlety of a pig wiping its ass on another pig? That's a good one. She looked at the orcs arguing each other through their tusked and heavy jaws. their simian eyes screwed up with the perpetual effort of thinking and talking at the same time. While they weren't dressed for war, they were still orcs. Heavy hide armor and a battle axe was practically nude as far as they were concerned. Pretty hoped that her companions had noticed her disappearance and were looking for her. Maybe if he hadn't have told them he was such an unflappable badass, they might be. Then it is agreed, roared the one called Drank. The human will be divided into three. One part for Bental to eat, one for Grak to hump, and third part for me to wear as humorous hat. Agreed. But who gets which part? Oh, for shit's sake, Bental, why do you have to be so picky? Pretty cleared her throat. Listen, fellas, she said. I think it's only fair to warn you that I have, like, super gonorrhea. Drac frowned. What is gonorrhea? It's a very bad human disease. You get it from toilet seats. Bentel snorted. Bah! Human venereal diseases are merely seasoning to orc palate. Damn, said Pretty. Then perhaps I can appeal to your sense of fair play? Grank frowned. Foreplay? Gods, no. I mean, three big fellas like you against one little human doesn't seem very honorable. Drank laughed. Tell me, human, when you snap the neck of chicken for broth, do you worry about honor? Well, no, I suppose not. Choking chicken is natural act. It not matter of honor. You are philosophically inadequate. Now come, brothers, let us tear this human into shareable chunks. Sorry, guys. Where were we? Yes, shareable chunks. Tearing the human into shareable chunks. There came a sudden and piercing whistle. The three orcs froze and then turned slowly. Pretty squinted at the figure approaching, not quite believing what she saw. Why is human whistle? Asked Grant. Is it human? Asked Drac. It looked like golem made of ham. What are you, ham golem? Speak! The figure spoke. My name is Brandon Thighmaster, of the Temple of the Many Fists, and I am going to ask you once, nicely, to let that woman go free. The three orcs erupted into laughter. Naked human has inadequate brain. Believes his nudity is threatening. Pretty rolled her eyes. Whatever this mostly naked stranger was, he was clearly insane. Now, if she were a real rogue, she'd use the drawn-out annihilation as an opportunity to wiggle free and make a run for it. However, her mouth betrayed her before her brain could catch it. Get out of here, mister. It's too late for me. I'm not going anywhere, said Brandon. He pointed to Grank. Except upside this bitch's head. Grank no understand human threat, but Grank nevertheless enraged. The orc charged at the newcomer, who elegantly sidestepped and chopped the orc in the small of his back. Grank stumbled face first into a tree with a loud crunch. He fell to his knees, cradling his face. Ah! Grank had face on tree. Human is asshole. Now I'm not going to tell you fellas again, said Brandon, sliding into a ready position. I will absolutely fist you. Don't clip that. The two standing orcs froze. You'll what? You heard. The two orcs exchanged a brief and whispered conversation, and then turned as one and ran into the brush. Wait for Grank, Grank followed, his nose streaming snot and blood into his cupped hands. No, leave Grank alone with rapist. Pretty watched the events with an almost dreamlike sense of detachment, and it was at that point that her swinging paid off and her feet came loose. She hit the ground lightly and rolled to her feet. Her eyes didn't leave the stranger. Did you? She swallowed, her throat suddenly dry. Did you just threaten to fist an orc? Brandon smiled broadly. Absolutely, he said. No one likes a good fisting. He mimed a few quick jabs and a left hook. Pretty felt herself relax a little. Oh, you mean like punching? Brandon frowned. Yeah, of course. What else could I mean? Pretty straightened up and dusted herself off. Okay, you scared them off, and I'm very grateful. Where are the others? Brandon shrugged. Others? You're out here alone? Yep. In the Bowood Forest? Yep. Where the Ark Bandit Legion lives? Apparently. Pretty put her fingers to the bridge of her nose. Look, Brandon, is it? Brandon Thighmaster. You've probably heard of me. Why would I have heard of you? Brandon shrugged again. I just assumed you would have. Pretty picked up her discarded belongings, strapping a short sword to her side and a horsebow to her back. Okay, listen to me, Brandon. My name is Pretty Brightblade, and I'm a rogue. I'm traveling with some companions, and I can get you out of here. But once I do that, you're on your own, okay? We're even. Sure, said Brandon. I wasn't heading in a particular direction anyway. The universe is my compass. Well, pardon me for sounding like a bitch, but the universe doesn't know its taint from its tickler. You're better off with me for now. Brandon frowned. Weren't you just captured by monsters? Pretty felt her cheeks flush. I appreciate your help and all, mister, but I'm a fucking rogue, Kay. I would have handled that myself. Cool, said Brandon. Then lead on, I guess. Right, Pretty nodded. The first direction we head in is away from those orcs. Pretty led the way through the undergrowth. The meeting place with her companions was not so far away, but she could not risk the orcs backtracking and following them to the hideaway, so she took a wide and convoluted path. She was pleased to see that the muscular stranger, Legmaster or whatever he said his name was adept at moving quietly. Once she'd explained to him to move only where she moved, he followed her like a shadow, a weird naked shadow. They had been moving for a good few hours now, and she thought it safe to slow the pace and relax. So, she said eventually, why are you naked? Naked? What kind of monk do you take me for? I'm not naked. Okay then, why are you mostly naked? Ah, well, when practicing the art of totally fighting, it's useful to remain as mobile as possible. Also, have you seen these abs? I'm not sure either of us could sleep at night knowing I covered them up. Abs? Those are the things on your stomach. Yeah, don't you have any? Like that, gods no. They look uncomfortable, like you've got a belly full of bricks. Yeah, said Brandon, looking at his abs. Totally. They emerged from the tree line into a meadow of high grass. We're just over the other side of this glade, said Pretty. Orcs aren't the only thing we have to worry about, so move quietly and stay behind me. Sure. They crept forward together, the grass bending softly before them. Suddenly Pretty froze. There in front of her stood a magnificent doe, grazing quietly and completely oblivious to the presence of the rogue and the monk. Pretty stood silently and gestured behind her for Brandon to remain quiet. She felt carefully for her bow. A doe like that would mean meat for a week for Pretty and her companions, but still something stayed her hand. Perhaps just the raw majesty of nature's. Eat knuckle, horn beast! The doe had time to register a brief look of alarm before Brandon Firemaster erupted from the grass and punched it square in the face. The doe staggered and bleated and then sprinted away in a zigzagging panic. Pretty gaped for a while, looking back and forth between the retreating doe and the smiling monk. What the shit is your problem, you maniac? What? You just punched a deer in the face. Who does that? At the temple, we believe in understanding through combat. In order to truly know something, you must fight it. What? Well, if I'm to go out into the world, then how else to understand nature than punching animals in the fucking face? Exactly. Wait, you've just been wandering around punching. How many? What? How many animals have you punched? Brandon frowned. Well, let me see. It's only been a couple of days. There was the winged beast, the crawling beast, the beast with many legs, the beast with no legs. It would probably help if I wrote all this down. And they teach you this up at the temple, do they? Yeah, sort of. Mental. You are fucking mental. Brandon shrugged. If it's any consolation, I feel much closer to nature now. It really isn't. Now, can I rely on you to follow me the rest of the way without cold clocking the wildlife? Brandon hissed air between his teeth. That really does depend on whether it's a new kind of animal I haven't punched yet. Just follow me, okay? By the dueling gods, you are a strange and terrible man. Buff foe, very buff. Yes, damn it, almost blindingly so. Pretty stalked off through the long grass, Brandon close at her heels. The hunting lodge had been abandoned. The logs of its walls were thick with moss, and its doors and shutters hung loosely on their hinges. This is it, said Pretty. This is where the others are. This is where you all live, said Brandon. Of course not, idiot. This is where hunters used to stop over when humans were still able to move more freely in the area. Used to? You really don't know anything, do you? I know lots of things. Look, check this out. Brandon suddenly sprang onto his hands, parted his legs, and rotated his body like a spinning top before flipping back onto his feet. See? I mean you don't know anything useful. Well, that depends on your definition of useful. Exactly. You didn't wonder why there were orcs in this forest hundreds of miles from home? Nah. You've never heard of the Bandit Legion, how they fled to these forests after their brutal defeat in the border wars? Nope. Do you even care? Oh, sure. I mean, well, not really. No. Pretty sighed. My companions and I, we were hired by a nearby village to intercept orc and raiding parties. That sounds very interesting. The kingdom forces rarely come out this far, so the locals have resorted to hiring mercenaries to... Are you even listening? Honestly? No. Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. Pretty looked into Brandon's smiling face, as devoid of guile as it was even the slightest blemish. Just follow me, you hairless muscle clown. Pretty opened the door and knocked 3 times slowly, and then another 4 in quick succession. The door opened slowly and they went inside. The hunting lodge was completely empty but for a stone fireplace, and 2 half-elven archers sighting their bows at the door. Equally thin with short bouffant hair, the androgynous half-elves were either brothers or sisters, or some combination of both. Relax, you two, it's just me, said Pretty. Who's the beefcake? Said the dark-haired elf. Dania, this is Brandon. You guys can lower your bows, he's cool. The blonde-haired half-elf Tanya cracked a lazy half-smile. I'd say he looks hot, if you get my meaning. Brandon smiled broadly. I absolutely do not, but thanks anyway. Pretty gestured to the half-elves. Brandon, this is Dania and Tanya. They're brother and sister. Twins, said Brandon. No, said Dania. Why, do all half-elves look the same to you? I wouldn't know. You're the first I've seen. Relax, Brandon. They're taking the piss, said Pretty. They are twins. Tanya is Dania's identical sister. Must be nice, said Brandon. Like living with a mirror. The twins exchanged glances, and each raised an identically cynical eyebrow. Yeah, like that, said Brandon. Awesome. Danny shook his head and turned to Pretty. What took you so long out there? Never mind that. Where are the others? Danny raised her fingers to her mouth and let loose a short whistle. The back door of the hunting lodge swung open and 3 humans entered. One of them was a head taller than the others, clad in scuffed hide armor. He peered out at the world from dirty blonde braids and a beard like a cat that had been frozen mid-explosion. The shortest was dressed in gaudy purple finery and wore a pencil mustache that would have made mothers hold their children a little closer. He wielded a lute that he nervously plugged at. The third member was stocky in build, dressed in mismatched and dented armor. Clean-shaven of face and head, his serious expression softened slightly when he noticed Pretty and Brandon. Brandon, Pretty began, may I introduce to you Gunner Mason? And Pretty rolled her eyes in advance. Elgar the Electrifying. The purple-clad one played a jaunty riff on his lute before bowing deeply and flamboyantly. The other 2 rolled their eyes as Preeti had done. The man in the armor stepped forward. May I ask, what is this, human is, doing with you? Mason, this is Brandon, and yes, I think he's human. He was of some assistance to me, so I have promised him safe passage out of the forest. Some assistance? Brandon grinned broadly. I saved her from some orcs. Pretty put her fingers to the bridge of her nose. Let me do the talking, meat man. You were captured? Daniel spat on the ground in an ugly act of distaste. I told you, The ways of the city rogue are no use out here in the wilds. You should leave the scouting to Tanya and me. Pretty well on him and with a pointed finger. And I told you I can handle myself. It was just bad luck. Could have happened to any one of us. The big man in the hide armor gave a laugh. Didn't know, did it, short ass? It happened to you. Pretty whirled a finger around like it was a loaded crossbow. So help me, I will stab you in the dick, Gunner. Gunner laughed again. Mason stepped forward. Look, let's break this down, okay? You were captured by orcs. Pretty sighed. Yes. And you were rescued by this ethereally attractive human? Yes. And what of the orcs? They ran away. Ran away? Pretty sighed again. From him, he's some kind of monk. Mason frowned at Brandon. You scared off 3 orcs? Brandon scratched the top of his head while he gazed out the window. Sorry, what? He said. You let the orcs live? Daniel snapped. How do we know they didn't follow you here? Pretty snarled. For the last time, I'm a rogue. A damn good one. Nobody followed us. Yeah, you say so, but damn good rogues don't get ambushed by orcs. Orcs, for God's sake. Just everybody relax, okay? We're fine. Everything's fine. Elga, why don't you play us something relaxing? The purple-clad man huffed through his creepy mustache. I'm not here to entertain you. You're a fucking bard. That is literally all you are for. Mason held up his gauntleted hands. Pretty's right. We should all calm down. Now, to the matter at hand. What are we going to do with Studley here? He gestured to Brandon. I told you, said Pretty. I promised him safe passage. Oh, sure, yeah, but maybe we're not thinking this through. The guy scared our 3 orcs. Wait a minute, Gunner spoke, his slab-like brow furrowing. Wait a minute, you're a monk, right? Brandon nodded. From up on the mountains. Yeah, that's right. Holy shit, I've heard of these guys. They do nothing but fight. That's all they do. Mason nodded. Exactly my point. Maybe an extremely attractive man who scares the shit out of orcs might be useful to a group of mercenaries who are getting paid to take out orcs. Daniel shook his head. We have a system. We should stick to it. Bringing in an unknown element now could be disastrous. On the other hand, a fighter in the group wouldn't be a bad thing, said Tanya. Elgar cleared his throat. I think I see where this is going. Elgar. No, no, let's get it out there. It's because I'm a bard, isn't it? Gunnar scratched the back of his neck in obvious discomfort. Elgar sighed. Guys, you knew what I brought to the table when we made the arrangement, and now you want to replace me with some oily man whore. Monk, actually. Some oily monk whore. I thought we were in this together. Mason scuffed his ironclad boot on the floor. Elgar, you didn't even bring a sword with you, not even a fucking dagger. Because I'm a bard, wailed Elgar. I'm here to inspire you, don't I inspire you? There was some comfortable muttering from the group. Gunnar spoke up. Thing is, though, Elgar, mate, it'd be a lot more inspired if I thought you could at least last 5 seconds in a fight. Elgar stomped his purple boot on the floor. Well, if you people don't appreciate my talent, I'll find someone who will. He stormed out the door, turned around and shouted, Enjoy your hairless slut! Before striding out into the woods. There was a period of embarrassed silence. Did he just flounce out into the forest? Muttered Tanya. Yep. The orc-filled forest. Yep. Oh, he is so dead. Should we go after him? There was another period of embarrassed silence. No. Okay. Mason clapped his hands together. I vote the new guy in. Hey, wait, are we a democracy now? Daniel snapped. We had a contract with the villagers, and this guy's name isn't on it. He can take Elgar's share. Well, what if Elgar wants it? I don't perceive a future where Elgar is still alive to claim his share. I know that sounds heartless, but I think we should be reasonable. Okay, guys. Pretty clapped her hands rapidly. If we're going to discuss this, maybe we shouldn't do it in front of our guest. She gestured to Brandon, who smiled and waved. Okay, said Mason. Let's huddle. The group huddled into each other and began quickly muttering, occasionally throwing a furtive or suspicious glance Brandon's way. Scared the shit out of three orcs. Kind of weird he's completely hairless. Do we know what his experience is? Them abs, though. Elgard sucked anyway. Saved my life. We owe him a chance. I mean, other than his eyebrows, completely devoid of hair. Yeah, but them abs. The group, reaching a decision, disengaged from the huddle. Pretty smiled. Mr. Cockmaster? Thighmaster. Whatever. My friends and I have a proposition for you. Brandon held up his hands. Before this goes any further, I should tell you guys I observe a strict vow of celibacy. So, you can look but you can't touch. Mason threw his arms out. Oh, shit, seriously? Sorry. You dress like that and you have a vow of celibacy? That's some passive aggressive shit, buddy. Brandon sniffed. I don't do anything passively. Ah, shit. Can we focus here, guys? Said Tanya. The proposition. Right, said Pretty. We have an arrangement with a nearby village to, dissuade the orcs from raiding them. Arrangement? We get paid. You get paid? To fight? Yeah. Brandon grinned. Ha! What a world. So we were wondering, Tanya continued, if you'd like to join up with us. We'd pay you Elgar's share, of course. Yeah, okay. Tanya and Daniel exchanged a glance. What, just like that? Yeah, sure. You don't even want to know, say, what our backgrounds are? Brandon blinked. Um, should I? Probably. I mean, it's common sense. Do you always just jump into contracts with mercenaries without thinking it over? Well, not always. This is my first. Am I doing this right? Pretty flapped her hands impatiently. Let me get the introductions over with. Daniel and Tanya here are full-time rangers. They don't have a lot of military experience, but they've worked in the royal forest. They're adept hands when it comes to tracking poachers and such. Orcs are easier, said Tanya. Stupider, Daniel agreed. Pretty gestured to Gunnar. This guy has maybe the most experience of all of us, mercenary experience at least. He's served in more than a few militias and he's killed at least a dozen orcs. Well, they were half orcs, said Gunnar modestly, but I figure that rounds up to about six full orcs probably. Finally, this is Mason, our cleric. Cleric, said Brandon, like for taking notes and filing and such. Mason shook his head. No, you're thinking of a clerk. He fished a holy symbol out from under his armor, three linked palms carved into a wooden triangle. I serve Olympia. Gunnar burst out laughing. I'll just bet he would. Get it? Serve a length of you. Ha ha! Mason rolled his eyes. You'll have to excuse Gunnar here. He's the least sophisticated Northman I've ever met. He seems to find my sexuality an endless source of hilarity. Serve a length, like sucking your cock. Ha ha! Mason sighed. Olympia is the goddess of fortunate meetings. So, yeah, the cocksucking thing is totally on the table, though, should you change your mind about that celibacy deal. Noted, said Brandon politely. And that just leaves you, Pretty, Dania prompted. I am a rogue, said Pretty. Yes, said Brandon. Yeah, breaking in, sneaking around, that sort of thing. Sounds vague. Pretty blushed. Well, why don't you tell us about your experience, hot shit? How many days a week do you spend waxing your bikini line? Brandon frowned. Oh, I was born without body hair. There was an embarrassed silence. I, uh, I think we all were. Really? Said Brandon. So you just sort of grew it later on. That's, normally how it works. Weird. I think we're getting off track again, guys, said Tanya. Yeah, said Dania. Tell us about your relevant experience. Like, how many fights have you been in? Brandon shrugged. Many thousands? Dania frowned. I mean outside of the temple. Oh, well, one, I guess. Wait, do you count animals? Do I count? Pretty held up a hand. Focus, Dania. Think about it. We've been out here 3 weeks and we haven't so much as had a scuffle. This asshole comes down from the mountain and literally the first thing he does is beat the shit out of an orc. I think we can safely say we have our fighter. Brandon, welcome to the better than average six. Brandon frowned. What? That's what we're called, Mason shrugged apologetically. It sounds a little underwhelming. Well, that was kind of the point, said Pretty. The villagers don't have a lot of money, so we don't want to oversell ourselves, put them off. So, are you in? The five remaining members of the better than average six stood in a circle and put their hands in the center. They looked at Brandon expectantly. Are you in? Pretty said again. Oh, yes, I'm totally in. I'm just not touching your hands at all. Ah, shit. At that moment, Elga the Electrifying's head crashed through the hunting lodge window and rolled to a stop in the middle of the floor. And that's where we'll leave that, kind listeners. Ah, how are we doing? Are we all invigorated? Are we feeling good? Ah, you know how I feel. I feel like I have got to pee. So I'm going to leave you again with awkward silence. I'll be back soon. And I'm back. Thank you for your patience. Oh, wow, we've done pretty well. Pretty well there. Look at that. $1,718. We're not far off the $1,800 benchmark that I arbitrarily set not so long ago. Wonderful. Brilliant. Connor in chat says Steve getting a kick out of his own writing is hilarious. Um, I do that all the time. Not gonna lie. That's why I love the editing process. Like, oh, time to do some editing. I'm just sitting there reading my own work, and this is great. But everybody should be their own best audience. I know I am. And I haven't read that in a while. Some good lines in there. Some fun characters. Ah, right. Who do we have in the chat? How's everyone doing? I should have left you with some more Lady in Red. Chat complaining there's no good abs emojis. There isn't. That's true. It's an oversight, I think, personally. But we'll see. opened a new beer. I haven't even finished this one. What's happening to me? Losing my mind. But that's fine. I don't need it. Ah, well, 1,718 pounds. English pounds. I don't know what that translates into dollars, but yeah, I'm costing with ye old money. Doubloons. 1,718 doubloons. So we're only yeah, we're not that far away from the 1,800 doubloon target. Well done, everyone. Um, but I have, of course, completely lost track of you know, what the chapter requirement was. Did we say 50? It's already been 50. I don't know. I've been reading. I can't do two things at once. I actually can. I was reading and talking, but that is already very taxing for someone of my stunted intellect. I hope you appreciate the great efforts I go to for you guys. Two things at the same time. Incredible. Remarkable. Hmm. I suppose we should check. I should try and check in on Facebook again. Why can't I work Facebook? What kind of boomer can't work Facebook? Hmm. What's in the old notifications? What's in the headlines today? Nope, this ain't happening. I tried to search for Orphans and Dragons. Yes, it says I'm doing some live stuff on there. It's had 39 views. One of them from E.M. Kaplan, the E.M. Kaplan, my esteemed co-writer. Um, but comments on Facebook, so yeah, Facebook can get fucked. Fuck Facebook. Fuck Meta. Yeah, it's all happening here on YouTube, guys. This is where it's at. Hmm. I should have drafted in some of my famous writer friends to help me out with this. I was going to ask Bevan actually, but he is working tonight, so cannot. He's a busy man, very busy. Um, and then the rest of them, you know, they've all got lives. They all do stuff on a Friday. Ooh, I've got friends. Ooh, I've got family that loves me. According to the US site, I'm at 2,300. Okay, what is that? What's going on with me? All right, let me check to see if I can. The US dollar to pound conversion. Yeah, I should probably put this on a US. Can I do that? Or does it just know that I am an Englishman? Can it smell my blood? Probably. What with AI and all. Yeah, I'm sorry if I've been confusing you with the currency exchange. Rest assured, I confuse myself. It's not deliberate. I'm not trying to be trite. Just as I've discussed, holding more than a certain amount of things in my head at any one time. Okay, is it going to automatically put this into pounds for me? Yes, it is. On the one hand, quite useful for me, a British consumer. On the other hand, not useful for what I'm doing right now at all. let's see what Google has to say about currency exchange, and then maybe I can start talking you guys' language. US dollar to pounds. Right, it's like 0.75 pound sterling to the dollar. Oh Christ, this is already much more mathematics than I wanted to do. So we are currently at 700 and 1733 pounds, which does indeed translate to 2,317.37 US dollars. Shining eagles, gun tokens, whatever you guys call them. So what we are looking for is the grand number 2,406.96 Lincoln teeth, whatever you call them. Dollars. I know you call them dollars. Dead presidents. Uh, greenbacks. Um, money. America money. Yeah, we're looking for 2,406. So, I guess we'll do another chapter in boop, 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 beep, boop. When this gets to 700, 1,700, Jesus Christ. You're watching me do math. It's like watching a monkey have a midlife crisis. Say another £30. Another £30, which is, in American money, another $40. Then, my friend, you shall have another chapter read. What about a squid? Fine print's 1.7 quid to $2.3. What about a squid? I don't know. I don't know squid exchange. I imagine probably like if I could be paid in live squid, I imagine um, I don't know what the exchange rate on that is. It was probably pretty good. The way the environment is going, you know. Yeah, I mean, you can see if you're into Kickstarter, that's good. I love your commitment. I love your drive. I love your commitment. Well done. But if you look on the YouTube, you'll see the UK in the background, and that should give you a better idea of what is going on. Chat says, I didn't come here to learn things. Neither did I. That was all very painful for me. It's Friday night. I'm done uh, doing things. I got 2 days where I don't have to do shit, uh, intellect wise. And I am not going to, my friend. Well, this has been an amazing level of support. Thank you very much, everyone. Sincerely. Um, yeah, let's see if we can get up a bit more. We are at 1,747 English pounds. Um, Christ, I got to set more or less arbitrary goals because I do not know if that translates into another chapter or not. Remind me, chat, what did I say? Hold me to account, chat. Um, don't let the power go to my head. Mm. I'll tell you what. If I finish this beer and somebody um, gets us to 1750, then we shall. Oh, wait a minute. Did I say 47? Was that the next benchmark? I cannot remember what happened minutes ago. Mascasm in chat says how much for a Fandango and Dandy Liver collab? I don't think anyone would survive that. It'd get very sticky very quickly, I imagine. If there are ever two characters that would rub each other the wrong way because they are too similar, I think it would be Fandango and Stan Dandy Liver. Condor says $30? Question mark. Right, that doesn't help me, mate. I just say time is money. Right now, I have very little concept of time. So I'm just gonna wait for somebody in the chat who's more intelligent than me. And, there are 9 of you in there, so pretty good odds. Let's say 9 to 1 odds. To remind me of the promises I made so I can keep them. You know what? This isn't too bad. It's alright. It's got a fun little goblin on it too. I do like a goblin. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention in the podcast I've been on for 10 years, but we've met like 2 goblins and we haven't got to fight any of them. Never got to fight a goblin. Really wanted to fight Rick's goblin because he was annoying. Pink Slip was annoying. He was annoying, man. But Footstool, the other goblin, an alright dude. Really don't know where I stand with goblins. I always like goblins. Same reason I like zombies. They're just very generic, charming thing that I can drop kick into a bonfire, you know? But you start giving them personalities and I feel bad about it. Maybe you shouldn't just drop kick them into a bonfire. But that's what I want to do. It's like giving a cow a name. Don't make me think it has feelings. I want to eat that. Being inconsiderate. All right, we are over. While I was talking about cows and goblins, we have gone over 1750 English weasel tokens. That means it's time to start reading again. Probably again. I can't remember what the deal was, but we'll say it's time to start reading again. Right, here we go. Yo, where were we? Where were we? Ah, yes, Elder the Electrifying's head crashing through the hunting lodge window. Yes, Elga's dead then. He didn't last long. Wasn't feeling good about bards at the time. John. Tanya peeked out of the window. Orcs, she said. 6 of them. Dania turned a withering glare to Pretty. Not followed, eh? Oh, fuck you, Dania. We can get around to the I told you so's later. Right now, we need a plan. Gunnar picked up Elga's head. Its face was locked in an expression of shock, and the stump of its neck was still wet with fresh blood. He actually lasted a lot longer than I thought he would. Mason sighed. Alas, poor Edgar. I knew him. A voice boomed from outside. Send out the ham golem and his otter bitch. Tanya frowned. Otter bitch? He means me, Pretty bumbled. Oh yeah, I never really noticed that before. Pretty stared out of the window. Those are the 3 that captured me. Looks like they've come back with reinforcements. You know what they say, said Mason. Hell hath no fury like an orc. 6 isn't so bad. If we can see 6, I'm guessing there's another 6 we can't see. Ah, good point. Damn. Danya shrugged. Looks like we have no option but to give them what they want. Gunnar shook his head. You know, Danya, you can be a real ass sometimes. Relax, humans. I've got a plan. Let's hear it. Danny illustrated with his hands. They don't know how many of us are here. So Tanya and I will sneak out the back and flank the main group. If there are other orcs out there, they won't spot us until we already have the central group in a crossfire. Gunner and Mason will wait in here to launch the charge. When the first arrows start flying, that'll be the opportunity to rush in and press the advantage of surprise. And me? Asked Pretty. You and the sex doll here will give them exactly what they want. Go out there and buy us some time. You should get plenty of time while they're fucking our corpses, I'm sure. Relax. We need only a couple of minutes. These guys are not smart. Surely you can keep them talking. Brandon smiled. Like a distraction. Yeah. Brandon uncorked his water skin and poured the thick body oil all over himself. The oil dripped down as he flexed his muscles rapidly, redirecting the glossy liquid to spread evenly across his body. What the fuck am I looking at? Asked Gunner. They want a distraction? I'm going to give them a distraction they'll never forget. Brandon and Pretty walked slowly out of the lodge. Pretty had left her weapons behind, bar a dagger concealed in each boot. There was no way Brandon could have smuggled any weaponry without walking funny. By the dueling guard, it's like walking next to the sun, Pretty grimaced. Brandon grinned and took the opportunity to rub the oil further around his body. Really getting my gleam on. Ahead of them, Pretty recognized the three orcs from earlier standing in front of the three newcomers. Orcs were normally quite hard to tell apart, but she spotted Grank from his swollen face. Orc noses were flat at the best of times, but Grank's had all but disappeared in his bulging dark green bruise. The one she assumed might be Bentel leaned into Grank and whispered, which for orcs was merely a quieter shout. Why for it is human freshly marinated? Grank shrugged. Human is considerate, wishes to apologize for rape threats. Sometimes Drac wonder if patience and understanding can heal the rift between the disparate races of this bountiful land. Sometimes Grank wonder if Drac is gay. I should probably apologize. They're orcs, right? Pretty and Brandon stopped 10 feet away from the waiting orcs. What do you guys want? You and you will come with us. No trouble, Grank snarled. And if we do? Your deaths will be painful and amusing. And if we don't? Same, but Grank uses your corpse as puppet to entertain orc babies for all time. You drive a hard bargain, my friend. Grank is skilled negotiator. Well, Pretty said, I guess we'll come quietly. You are sensible otter-human hybrid. If I may interject, said Brandon. The orcs exchanged glances. You keep fists where we can see them. Sure, sure. I just wanted to say, I understand. Buh, said Drac. Yeah, I get it. You big, tall, tough orcs out here alone in the woods. As he spoke, Brandon stretched his limbs, flexing his muscles. And then this walks into your world, and you're not sure how to deal with it. He quickly reversed his stretch, powering his arms down so that every muscle in his torso rippled like a stormy ocean. What for is human dancing? Muttered Bental. Why for does Grank have semi? Asked Grank. Brandon pirouetted, looking over his shoulder with a bright grin, as his back muscles stood to attention, like extremely oily marines. But you didn't have to be intimidated. You can just lay back and appreciate it. We all can. There is enough Brandon for everyone. Pretty caught herself as a sliver of dribble wormed onto her chin. Holy shit, this is weird. Bentel hungry and horny at same time. Bentel not know why. Brandon pivoted smoothly into a reclining position, his head in one hand while his body stretched languidly across the earth forest floor. Why don't we all just take a load off and just drink it in? Grank suddenly snapped shut his gaping jaw. Desist confusing display. Bentel, put this sexy meat in sack so as not to enchant our eyes. Bentel reached behind him and retrieved a burlap sack, and then he stopped. He tried to speak, but could only choke. He pawed uselessly at the arrow in his throat. Behind him, one of the nameless orcs suddenly bellowed and dropped to his knees, an arrow protruding from his face. Now! Screamed Pretty. She dropped to her haunches and grabbed the hilts of her daggers. In one motion, she flicked them out and threw them both at Drac. One skittered uselessly across his armor, but the other fetched him a deep gash on the arm. Not a split second later, the door to the hunting lodge crashed open. Mason and Gunner charged screaming into the fray, each with a heavy wooden shield before them. Grank was the first to recover from the surprise assault. He raised his broadsword above his head and slashed a horizontal swipe at Brandon, who bent back on his knees as the blade whistled over him. Brandon flipped onto his hand and kicked out a leg, catching Grank in the chin. The orc was only stunned for a second, but that was enough time for Brandon to jump into a spinning kick that sent Grank's sword spinning into the overgrowth. Grank screamed his outrage and gathered Brandon into a crushing bear hug. Fortunately, at this point, Brandon was more oil than man, and he slipped up through the grip like a cork from a bottle. At the apex of his flight, he took the opportunity to plant both feet on Grank's damaged nose and pushed off into a backflip. Grank screamed and fell to his knees, temporarily blinded by agony. Behind Brandon's melee, Mason and Gunner pressed their charge into the two orcs at the rear. With their combined shields, they formed a mini barricade, which they struck over relentlessly with hammer and pick. The orcs were forced into an untenable defense, and it wasn't long until the barrage overwhelmed them. This only left Drac standing, who was busy concentrating on obliterating Pretty with his nailed club. He crashed it down with furious abandon while a weaponless and panic-stricken Petrie leapt and rolled for all she was worth, desperately trying to get close to her daggers. Hang on, Preeti, Brandon shouted, and rushed in to assist. Shouting his intention had been a mistake. Drash la- Drac lashed out blindly with his club, a wild move that Brandon didn't have time to avoid. The club fetched a glancing blow across his torso, one of the club's nails tearing open the unprotected flesh and raining a thin spray of blood. Brandon staggered back, gasping in shock. He looked down at his suddenly imperfect torso. Drac frowned, seeing the fury in Brandon Thighmaster's eyes. Brandon hissed through gritted teeth. I am going to kick your heart out through your asshole. Then I'm going to kick it back up into your asshole, and I'm going to repeat this until you die of old age. Drac raised his club in defense and took a step back, just in time for Pretty to leap onto his back and plunge her retrieved dagger into his neck. He gargled blood as he died. At this point, four more orcs came charging through the undergrowth. They undergrowth? Undergrowth. Undergrowth. They took in the scene of the carnage before them, noting the bloody and psychotically glaring monk, the rogue with a dagger still in her comrade's neck, and Mason and Gunner standing like a two-man wall of violence. Help me, brothers! Grant cried out, gurgling through the blood flowing from his nose. Without breaking eye contact with the other orcs, Brandon leapt and spun into a devastating jump punch. He caught Grank on the tip of his chin, and there was a loud snap as the orc's head twisted further than his neck could manage. The orcs exchanged glances and then ran as one into the forest. Two of them didn't get very far before they stumbled over, clutching at arrows in their back. Danya and Tanya emerged from the tree line. That all of them? Asked Mason. Fuck that, I'm going after the other two, said Danya. Leave it, said Pretty. We can't stay at the lodge anyway. Who knows how many people they told were coming here. Besides, said Mason, still breathing heavily from the skirmish, this is a payday, right? Think about it. It's generally held that the Bandit Legion is less than 100 orcs. We've killed 8 right here. We've practically decimated their forces with no significant losses of our own. There was Elgar, no significant losses. After a while, Danya nodded. Okay, everybody chop off an orc head. We go back to the village. They wanted us to dissuade raiders. I think this is a pretty good damn argument that we've done so. Just like that, Brandon growled. Danya blinked. What's your problem? We did well today. Brandon pointed to his bloody torso. Have you seen what they did to me? Danya shrugged. A couple of stitches, a few days' rest, and you'll be right as rain. They have ruined my abs, Brandon shouted. Every single orc will pay. Whoa there, Chief, let's calm down a little, said Mason. Yeah, man, said Gunner. I've done worse cutting myself shaving. No offense, barbarian, but your face is meaningless. These are my fucking abs. Okay, okay, Mason said. I can help you. I'm a healer. Dania tutted loudly. You know Olympia is sparing with her power, Mason. Shouldn't you save your talents for more urgent needs? Brandon stared coolly at the half-elf. I don't know what language you're speaking, buddy, but it sounds like a lot like native asshole. Dania arched an eyebrow. Come on, Dania, he deserves it, said Mason. He handled himself well today. And besides, those abs are a work of art. Dania nodded in reluctant agreement. Mason pulled off his gauntlets. Okay, Brandon, I'm going to lay on hands. Whoa there, friend. I appreciate this and all, but let's not take advantage. Mason sighed. To channel Alenfia's grace, I have to lay on hands. I bet you say that to all the monks. Seriously, Brandon, come on, I'm a professional. Okay, Brandon held out his pinky finger. You can touch this part of me. Mason rolled his eyes. It works better if I'm closer to the wound, but whatever. He cut Brandon's pinky finger and closed his eyes. By Olympia's grace, let flesh be mended, let wounds be cleaned, let that which has been torn be made whole again. A brief golden light flashed over Brandon's body. He looked down at his torso and then he used some body oil to wipe away the blood. Underneath the blood, it was as though the wound had never been. Brandon grinned broadly. Tell your God she's okay in my book. Mason smiled sardonically. I'll be sure to mention she has your approval. Brandon clapped his hands together. All's well that ends well. Except for Elgar. Except for Elgar, yes. But other than that, a pretty good day all round. Did you see me jump punch that guy? Oh yeah, that was sweet. You know, said Gunner, I bet there's a barrel of ale or two to be had in this village. And more than a couple of grateful wenches. Dania nodded her agreement. At the very least, a hot meal and a bed for the night. Then it's settled, said Dania. Let's move out and move out quickly. I'll lead and Tanya will cover our tracks. The group made preparations to leave while Gunner and Grank's broadsword used Grank's broadsword to decapitate the dead and dying orcs. Brandon looked over to Pretty and noticed the rogue was staring down at a bloody dagger. Her hands shook. Are you okay? He asked. Pretty nodded. Sure, yeah, just a little pumped up from the fight. You did well, said Brandon. I mean, not as good as me, obviously, but you did well. Pretty spat on the ground. Yeah, she said. Yeah, sure. Sergeant Blastoke stood atop Darkham Keep, one hand stroking idly in his long grey beard, the other rested, as always, on the pommel of his battle-axe. He watched the horizon. It was a good horizon, with faraway trees and long uninterrupted fields. It was reassuringly boring. Blastoke suspected that one day it would become interesting, and that was probably the day he would be killed. Darkham Keep was built when the surrounding village had been vibrant, a last stop for pilgrims, hunters, and loggers. That was 15 years ago, before the final fateful battle at the border wars that had seen 100 or so renegade orcs make the Bowood Forest their own. Now, with farmland pillaged, homesteads burned, and roadhouses sacked, the only people left in Darkham were the stupid, the desperate, and the stubborn. And he and his men, of course. Kingdom Army conscripts rotated out to the Pilgrim lands for various reasons, not all of them pleasant. Blastoke suspected that he himself had been sent out to supervise a gaggle of misfits because he was getting too old, or perhaps for sleeping with the captain's wife, one or the other. Sarge. Blastoke, Blastoke looked up into the face of Hicks, a lanky youth whose chainmail coif always flopped down onto his shoulders, giving his shaved head the appearance of a bellend scraping a metal foreskin. What is it, Hicks? Riders on the northern road, Sarge. Blastoke guessed from the lack of fear piss spraying out of the rookie's pants that the raiders weren't orcs. Recognize them. I think it's the mercenaries you sent out the other week, Sarge. Oh, said Blastoke. Oh, shit. Well, go and escort them in, I suppose. I'll meet you at the main gate. Hicks gave a salute and jogged to the stairwell. Blastoke heaved a sigh of relief. He had sort of hoped that the mercenaries would have been killed and saved him having to pay them, but those were the thoughts of a skinflint dwarf, not a sergeant in the king's army. The sergeant in the king's army had hoped they had all been killed so he didn't have to fill out any paperwork. Hooray! There we go. An exciting battle. An exciting battle and slightly sexually uncomfortable battle. And we're doing all right. Look at that. 1828 English dollary dues. Wonderful. Oh hell, we've met our goal then. Well, congratulations. Um, what have we got in the chat? We've got Lee Patina is in the chat. Hello, Lee. How you doing? You got your pledging? Excellent. You'll be pleased to know that everybody who has made a pledge will get a signed copy of Everyone You Love Will Be Eaten by Wolves, a delightful short story collection that I very much enjoyed writing, actually. Some good stories in there, if I do say so myself. And I do. Doing all right, Lee? Doing all right. Doing okay. It's Friday night. I've got a golden goblin in my hand, which is not doing wonders for my reading voice, to be honest. I'm getting very gassy. So sorry if you're getting that in your ear. But that's the experience, guys. Oh, wow, we've done great. Okay, so not only is the book kickstarted successfully, um, the stretch goal has been met. That doesn't mean you should stop giving me money. Um, if you are not pledged yet, you're probably saying to yourself, well, why would I? Why would I give you money if the book is going to happen already? Well, if you go to the digital tiers, the digital book copy and the audio copy, you'll get them before anyone else. And also, you shall have your name written in the book um, as a thank you. So forever immortalized in a Brandon Thighmaster book. Wow, what a privilege. And Libertina, is there another stretch goal? Honestly, I did not think this far ahead, mate. Uh, you got me. Hmm. Stretch goal, stretch goal, stretch goal. I shouldn't say that 3 times in a row. Sounds a bit obscene. Just gotta check in with the guys on Facebook. I know, they're probably not there. Probably no one on Facebook. What happened to Facebook? You used to be cool. Now the kids are all about the TikToks. Guys, I am genuinely baffled. I don't know what to do for another stretch goal. Uh, it would have to be kind of like probably another $300 or 300 English dollars for another book. Signed copy of Far Into the Dark for every backer at every tier. If we get to 2,100 English pounds, I don't want to know what that is in America, or let me do the Googling. Okay, here we go. 2,100 English sovereigns. That's 2808 Eagle dollars. Bullet coins. I don't know. Think we can get there? What do you reckon? We're 828. Can we get to 2100? I think it's time for a little bit of Lady in Red Vaporwave. As I go once again to the bedroom.
Never seen you looking so lovely as you did tonight. I've never seen you shine so bright. Never seen so many men ask you if you wanted to dance. They're looking for a little romance, given half a chance. I have never seen that dress you're wearing, or the highlights in your hair that catch your eye. I have been blind, lady in red is dancing with me, cheek to cheek. There's nobody here. It's just you and me. It's where I wanna be, but I hardly know this beauty by my side. I'll never forget the way you look tonight.
That's enough of that. Kind of creepy. It's me, I'm back. It's Steve Wetherell, author of the Brandon Thighmaster books. That's right. Uh, Looking at the Brandon Thighmaster Kickstarter. Want to see a new Brandon Thighmaster adventure in the world? Good news. It's been kickstarted. The costs for doing so have been bought out into the world thanks to these wonderful people in the chat and some of them outside the chat. Um, but then we're doing stretch goals, and congratulations, universe. We reached the first stretch goal, which means that everybody who has made a pledge tier will get a copy of Everyone You Love Will Be Eaten by Wolves, signed by me, sent to you. So now we're doing another stretch goal, and it's Steve just being greedy. To be honest, by the time I kind of print these out, mail them to people, you would have bought me a pint, and I'm not complaining. I really appreciate that. Thank you. And it is, I suppose, it kind of pleases me to know that there is a physical copy of my book in your house. In many ways, I will be in your home, living in your walls, and that's really all I want. So yeah, I chose Far Into the Dark as the next stretch goal, not randomly, but because, again, it's not one that everyone has, but it is kind of one of my favorites, to be honest. We've already established that I do love to read my own work. Not to do anything useful like correct typos or anything, obviously, but I get a kick out of it. Chat asks how many pints to give you a good night tonight. I always have a good night, darling. Uh, but the sweet spot is 9. But yeah, this is fun. This is fun. I don't know how much we're at. Did we say were we talking £30 or $30 to read another chapter? My God, I really need to start remembering things. Scroll, 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 scroll. Connor said $30. All right, we're currently at 1,828 English pounds. So we say another 30 beef tokens. Uh, Chat asks, Lee, Bettina asks, what's a pint going for over there now? It's not looking good, mate. Even a pretty shit pint is, in a decent pub, is like nearly a fiver. Good pints are getting a bit pricier. Don't even ask about London. Don't even ask. Mm. Yeah, the new budget has not been kind on us casual alcoholics who, for generations, have kept this country afloat with a stalwart dedication. But there you go. There you go. Just the way it is. I say 30. All right. So when this um, little tracker we have here on the screen gets to 18, I guess 58. Yeah, 1858. That is when I will read another chapter. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your enemies, tell your counselor, tell your local elected official that the Brandon Thighmaster Kickstarter is still going, and only with their input can everybody get another free book. Write to your congressman, um, write to your local vigilante, write to an old army buddy. Uh, I wish I had a memory. I'd leap into the Bill Murray speech from the end of Scrooged, which is my favorite Christmas movie. Love that speech. But unfortunately, I have dog shit for memory. So I cannot recall things, which is kind of a life disadvantage. Um, oh shit, we're at 1900 on the English counter. Let's punch that into the Americanizer. That is apparently 2,540.68 Americans. Cool. All right, we're on to it, guys. Another chapter. Here we go. We're still 200 beef tokens away from the next stretch goal, but I believe in you. The better-than-average six marched at a brisk pace along the wide dirt road. Ahead of them, the village of Darkham waited, its stone keep towering over the surrounding squat wooden buildings. The village was barely more than a cross-strip of main road, with stores, taverns, and boarding houses all crammed in like someone had tried to fashion a deck of playing cards from nothing but wood glue and despair. A lopsided church lay just outside of the village proper, but it looked as though no god was desperate enough to claim it. Whoa, said Brandon. It's magical. Danny turned a brief contemptuous gaze towards the monk. Don't they have shit holes up on the mountain? Holes for shitting in? Certainly. Should you ever visit, I'll show you. But we live simply at the temple, and we don't have such luxurious living accommodations. Brandon's eyes sparkled. Their weight rooms must be splendorous. Look, when we see Blast Oak, let me do the talking, okay? Said Pretty. Gunner patted the large sack he was heaving over his shoulder. I've got 8 orc heads here that speak louder than words. Nevertheless, said Pretty, this is my deal, okay? I'm managing this. Are you? Sneered Danya. Is getting captured by orcs and letting them follow you home your idea of managing? Tanya shook her head. Not now, Danya. Pretty stared at the ground as she marched. It worked, didn't it? Danya snorted. Yeah, but it was hardly the precision campaign of careful surveillance and sabotage we discussed, was it? Lighten up, Danya, Mason said. We'll live to fight another day. And 8 orcs under your belt is a hell of a resume stuffer. Besides, said Tanya, after weeks of cold camp, my arse needs a mattress tonight. Well, let me know if it needs anything else, Gunnar leered. Tanya smiled sweetly and flipped him the bird. The troop walked on in silence while a single rider approached from the main gate. Here's the welcome committee, observed Mason. Brandon waved at the rider and smiled broadly. It was nothing, he shouted. Danny shook his head. Sergeant Hicks brought his horse to a stop. Hail, mercenaries. Pretty nodded in greeting. So, you back already? The soldier continued. Yep. Hicks licked his lips as his eyes darted nervously from side to side. Did you see any orcs? Yeah, a few. Hicks paled. Did they follow you? I shouldn't think so. Not after we killed them. You're serious? You've got a pretty fucked up sense of humor if you think that was a joke. Hicks looked around as through the flat and empty fields, like suddenly going to sprout a horde of angry savages. Let's get you inside. Follow me. The mercenaries fell in behind Hicks. As they neared the village, they began to notice ramshackle tents and lean-tos along the outer walls. Thin men with fearful eyes peered out at them, and blank-faced children, their clothes ragged and stained, watched them suspiciously as they passed. Brandon frowned. What is wrong with these people? Are they jealous? Of me? Because I'm Brandon Thighmaster? They're poor, Brandon, Pretty said. These people came out here to build new lives for themselves. They gave everything they had, and the orcs took it from them. Brandon watched as a little girl, no more than 5 years old, looked up from drawing in the mud with a stick. You know, he said, at the temple we say that no one is poor who still has his health. The girl sneezed, sending a loose tooth skimming along the road before them. Oh. The wall around the village was a simple ring of sharpened logs, and large gates swung open to reveal a harried-looking dwarf standing in the middle of the main faux-through road, impatiently tapping his fingers on the pommel of his axe. You guys go and make yourself comfortable, Pretty said. I'll go and explain to the sergeant. When Gunnar had strode into the square and thrown a sackful of orc heads onto the ground, the villagers were first unsure how to react. Eventually, after some explanation, they began to cheer. An understandably somber mood blanketed Darkham, but 8 dead orcs was enough to rekindle a sense of celebration. Indeed, it was close to a victory the villagers had in the years, as the villagers had had in the years, since the Bandit Legion had moved into the Bowood Forest. The one remaining tavern on the village square opened its rooms to the mercenaries and rolled out a barrel of ale. As Gunnar has predicted, there were more than a few hangers-on who dropped in, and a broad selection of raised hems and strategically lowered bodices floated by their table. Mason plunked down a tray laden with a round of ales. Cheers, lads. And ladies. They each raised a glass, bar Brandon. Are you sure we can't tempt you with an ale, Brandon? Said Tanya. No, thank you, I'm fine with water. More for me, said Gunnar, taking Brandon's ale. Where is Pretty? Brandon asked. She's collecting payment. Oh, and after that? Gunnar shrugged. Whores? Not just whores, Tanya chimed in. There's gambling, too, and feasting, carousing. And don't forget whores, Mason interrupted. I already said that. Bears repeating. More like twinks repeating. I've seen you with whores. You're a fucking wit, Gunnar. Cheers. Daniel stood alone and Daniel stood and raised his glass. To the better than average 6. May our reputation precede us. Hear, hear. So wait, said Brandon. This is all you do. You make the money, spend the money, and then look for the next fight? Gunnar nodded. Sounds about right. Pretty much sums up the entire mercenary ethos in a one there. Why, what do you do? Well, I was sent out to better understand the world. You see, at the temple, we seek perfection. Danny snorted. Nothing is perfect, Brandon. Look around you. It's an imperfect world. Brandon nodded enthusiastically. Exactly. The world is filled with imperfections, and yet the universe, the cosmos, is undoubtedly infallible. It must be so. Oh, yeah? How do you work that one out? Because it is the be all and end all of existence, the Alpha and Omega. By its very nature, it can only be what it must be, and is therefore perfect. The group was silent a while, till Mason cleared his throat. You make a fair point. I still don't see what's that's got to do with push-ups and body oil, though. Brandon shrugged. In order to become one with the universe, to reach true enlightenment, we each must strive for perfection. As you can see, I have already reached physical perfection. Danny rolled his eyes, but Mason and Tanya nodded eagerly. But my masters tell me I have far to go. There is much I must do to enrich my spirit and fill my heart with the experiences of the world. Gunnar frowned. And this is why you fight. I can think of no better reason. Gunnar's head twitched as he stuck out his lip thoughtfully. That's fair enough. He slid Brandon's ale back to him. Here, if you're going to be bringing up the deep shit, then you're definitely having a drink. Brandon sniffed the glass suspiciously and then brought it to his lips. Oh, that's quite good, he murmured. Gunnar laughed. It gets better as you go along, lad, trust me. Sergeant Blastoke looked at a row of orc heads lined up on his desk. This is, pretty messed up, you realize that? Pretty shrugged. I thought you needed proof. Aye, but as invoices go, this is, touch intimidating. Not that I expected that from you, Pretty. I told you, this is who I am now. Blastoke nodded thoughtfully. Ah, you told me. I hoped you'd see it differently, though, once you're out there. Chicken out, you mean? No, Blastoke sighed. I just hoped you'd leave the killing to the killers. They're mercenaries, and they're the best I could find. Well, the only ones I could find. Ah, yes, I meant to ask. What happened to the purple one? Let's just say we don't have to worry about paying him. Oh, oh. Might be a blessing, perhaps, given how little money we actually have. Pretty chewed on her bottom lip. Not really. We found another fighter out there. Blastoke sighed. Expensive, is he? No more expensive than Alga was, and this guy, he killed an orc with his bare hands. Blastoke nodded thoughtfully, then rummaged in his desk drawer. He produced 5 purses that clinked with wealthy promise, and then he dropped them in front of Preeti. You should know that this is pretty much the last of it, he said. This is all we could club together, even with the lads receiving their wages. What about the kingdom bounty? Oh, well, we'll be reimbursed, Blastoke said. Eventually, when they run out of excuses not to pay us, and when they finally get round to sending the mail cut out this way, if they ever do. Pretty nodded slowly. When you put it like that, this is a high price for only 8 orcs. Blastoke stood, but being a dwarf, it was difficult to notice. He stroked his beard. You're your companions. They are satisfied with this arrangement. They are alive and are about to be paid. I'd say they're very satisfied. Do you think they'd be willing to take on another mission? See if they can further quell the numbers of the Bandit Legion? Pretty frowned. Well, of course, but how would you pay them? Blastote said nothing. You don't intend to pay them. Well, sorry, guys. Pretty said. You intend to send them out and what? Hope they're killed before they can collect? Well, in a word, yeah. Gods damn it, you crusty old shit. How could you? These people put their lives on the line to help us. They put their lives on the line for a payday. And yes, I'd see every last one of them dead if it meant a bad chance for the people of this village, the people under my protection, your people, Pretty. Pretty narrowed her eyes. And what about me? Would you throw my life away so easily? It is you who insists on going out there, girl, not me. If I'd my way, I'd be sitting it out in one of those tents waiting for the winter to kill me. Blastoke's face flickered between irritation and sadness. You know the position I'm in. The other outposts are just as bad off as we are. If we had more money, more men. But you don't, snarled Preeti. You have neither. So yes, I damn well will go out into those woods again, even if I have to go by myself, okay? Because you know what? Someone has to. Pretty scooped up the purses and headed to the door. You know what I won't do, though? I won't lie to these people. Well, not any more than I already have. She stormed out, slamming the door behind her and leaving Blastoke alone with the orc staring up at him with their bulging dead eyes. And what the fuck are you looking at? He grumbled. Pretty entered the tavern to bawdy commotion. A couple of villagers had taken up the tiny stage with drum and pipe, and a small crowd danced in the manner of people who had not had cause to dance in a while. She walked over to the corner table where the better than average six were celebrating. Gunner juggled two giggling wenches on his lap, and Mason and Tanya engaged in a good-natured arm wrestle. Daniel waved as he saw her approach, leaning back on his chair with a familiar smirk. The paymaster has arrived, he said. Here, Pretty dumped the 5 purses on the table. You've earned this, enjoy it. We will, Daniel said. May I ask where your cut is? I already hit it, Pretty said. Typical rogue, he laughed. I must say, I hope you hit it well. You worked hard for that money. I saw you fight that orc. For a while I thought to myself, has this human woman ever been in a fight? But you really pulled it out of the bag at the end there, cut that orc open like a freshly baked pie. Pretty stared coolly at Dania for a while. It's not the first throat I've cut, and it won't be the last. Dania held his hands up and widened his eyes. No trouble here, rogue. We're celebrating. Join us. Have a drink. Pretty looked around. Where's Brandon? Gunner pointed to the bar. We bet him he couldn't do 1,000,000 push-ups. Pretty groaned. Brandon Thighmaster stretched across the bar top, skin glistening as he pushed himself up and down on his arms. He's actually doing pretty well, said Mason. Been there a good half hour now. Brandon's hand suddenly slipped on the slick bar top, and he collapsed onto his face with a heavy smack before rolling off into the floor. He sprang up almost instantly with a silly grace on his face, a silly grin on his face. Ta-da! By the dueling gods, Pretty muttered. How much did he give him to drink? Just one, said Tanya. The boy can't hold his ale. Brandon tried to climb back onto the bar to resume his bet. Pretty walked over to him and steadied his swaying form. The monk looked down at her and blinked a couple of times. Pretty, he said, you've come back. We're celebrating how awesome I was. Maybe we should get you to bed, huh, champ? But I still have 900,000 push-ups to go. We'll finish that in the morning, okay? Right now, we need to get you to bed. Mason stood up at the same time as Tanya. I can take him too. I should probably take him. Both of you sit down and carry on making asses out of yourself. I'm taking him to bed so he can sleep, okay? Ah, shit. Pretty began the process of steering the drunken monk to the back stairs. You know, Brandon said, I've been thinking about our name. I think I have a better one. How about the Brandon Thighmaster 6? Come on, one foot in front of the other. That's right. Or Brandon Thighmaster and some other guys. Here we go, nearly there. Brandon Thighmaster, the Brandon Thighmaster experience. Stop saying your name, please, okay? Pretty eventually managed to get Brandon into his room and haul him into the tiny bed. He lay there looking up at the ceiling. The room he's spinning, he said. Is it supposed to do that? Seems unprofessional. You'll be fine, Brandon. You're just shit-faced. Oh? Oh, okay. Thank you, Pretty. You know, they say you look like an otter, but I don't think you look like an otter. That's nice of you to say so. Well, I don't really know what an otter is, though. Never seen one. You might look like an otter, I guess. Pretty sighed. Look, I have your purse here. See, your money. Would you like me to... Where would you like me to put it? Brandon waved a hand. Oh, that's okay. You keep it. What? Don't need it. Universe provides. The monk's eyes are beginning to close. How about I just hang on to it for you now? For you, no? Yeah, sure, just don't. Yeah? Don't, don't, don't what? Don't touch my abs. Pretty stared as he snored gently. You're a strange guy, Brandon, she muttered. Then she went to her own room, and she was soon asleep herself. The ringing of the keep bell and the hollering of a guard shattered the quiet of dawn and darkened. Sergeant Blastoke rushed out of his quarters dressed only in his nightshirt and his iron helm. He hefted his axe and waited for the first orc to come at him. There was no orc, though. The streets were empty. Wait, not quite empty. There in the middle of the square was a burlap sack. The old dwarf felt cold despair fill his guts. Deep down he already knew what was in the sack, but he went over to it nonetheless and tipped it over with his axe. 8 human heads rolled out. By all the gods, he breathed. Then he stormed into the garrison, kicking the doors open to find his tiny contingent of men hurriedly changing into their uniforms. Who was on guard last night? He bellowed. A young private raised his shaking hands. And you fell asleep, you worm, you fell asleep. Please, sir, the young man stammered. I've been on night duty these past 3 weeks. I didn't think. Blastoke punched the private in the gut, dibbled over with a wheeze. No, you didn't think. And now the young Thompson family are dead, from Granny to young Henry, wiped out. Blastoke was furious with himself. The soldier was right. There weren't enough men to rotate shifts properly, and mistakes were bound to happen. He leaned down and growled into the young man's ear. If I didn't need boots on the ground, I'd have you hanged. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Yes, sir. Blastoke shouted at the rest of the men. I want you all out on the street, shift be damned. These people are going to be scared, and I got bloody good reason to be. I want you to be visible and confident and competent, gods damn it. Now what are you waiting for? Move. The soldiers filed out in a hurry, many still struggling into their clothes and armor as they went. Blastoke remained in the garrison for a while, furiously staring into nothing. Then he burst outside and marched towards the tavern. Then he turned on his heel and marched back to his quarters to put on some pants. Oh, sorry I keep coughing. I've got a little bit of a head cold. And I'm not used to this. I haven't done this in a while. Ah, aren't we having an adventure? Right. How's the chat going? Have we still got people on board? Are you all busy? Are you all busy now? You got lives to go to? I don't blame you if you have. Well, the Kickstarter is at 1905 English crowns. So it's going good, but we're still 200 English crowns away from the next stretch goal. But let's take it one step at a time. We're going to need 30 more monies, English monies, not the American ones, to get another chapter out. And in the meantime, I shall leave you with whatever is happening on my playlist while I go and pee. I don't know what to do. Enjoy, I guess. That was a bit of Danzig, apparently. Steve Latter in the chat. You can hear the music fine, but Steve's like a whisper. Am I like a whisper to everyone else? I'm getting green on my audio input capture indicator. Could mean anything though, really, can it? What if I do this? Better? Fortunately, I have a naturally quiet voice. Just one of nature's gentle mumblers. Which is why I get somebody else to do the audiobooks. An American. A naturally loud American. So you need. How's everybody in chat? Are you staying with me this long? It's been a long one. 2.5 hours. Admittedly, I spent about 20 minutes of that just flapping my lips in silence. Was the music much louder? No idea how to mix this. Sorry, guys. Ah, well, I think we are losing streamers, so I'm going to give it till the end of this beer and make the completely reasonable assumption that you are perhaps actually off to do something with your Friday night now, as you should. I wish you all the best. My Friday night is over. It's Saturday morning for me. It's like 1:30 in the morning, guys. It's all a bit rock and roll. And this has been good. This has been great. Thank you so much for all of your help and all of your support. Not only will the latest Brandon Thighmaster book definitely happen, but everybody's going to get a sweet little surprise as well. A copy of Everyone You Love Will Be Eaten by Wolves, signed by myself. So, nice one. Well done, everyone. It's been fun. I haven't done this in a while. Should do more stuff like this. Get some of the A&D lads involved. So it's not just me quietly mumbling into your ear and occasionally playing too loud rock music while I go to pee. Hmm. Right, we'll give it a couple of minutes while I drink the last of this golden piss. This golden goblin piss. Have I forgotten to come off mute? Oh, you saying earlier? I hope I'm like, yeah, earlier I was on mute. It was something odd with the streaming platform. Everything was reading that I was making noise, but apparently I wasn't. I thought for a moment there you were saying that I'd been on mute this entire fucking time. Should have been well, not a massive waste of time because we still funded the book. That's what we're here for. And if me being on mute for 2.5 hours was funny enough to you that you funded the book, then actually I completely understand that because that would be hilarious. Oh, well, I hope you've had a nice time. I've had a nice time. It's been fun. I should prepare a better playlist next time, maybe. Maybe not just Lady in Red, Vaporwave, and Danzig. Lee in chat, I know you think it's funny to say I'm absolutely totally still muted, and you're just reading my lips, but don't do that to me, man. I'm a paranoid dude. I don't know how good I am at being lip read either. I knew a deaf guy once, and apparently the beard is a problem when it comes to lip reading. It's been an obstruction, or at least it was for him. Ah, well, went up to 34 backers. We've crushed this Kickstarter, guys. Well done. Thank you so much for your support. But I think it's a reasonable time for you to start enjoying a Friday, and it's an unreasonable time for me to start enjoying my Saturday. So I'm going to leave you to it. I'm going to thank you once again for your help, everyone in the chat. Steve Lata, Lee Patina, Nakatarutu, Nakataru, Nakataru. Condor, of course. Mousegasm, or Mousegasm. I hope it's Mousegasm. Lactastic Clippy Army. It's an odd name. It's an odd name. Who have I missed? Have I missed anyone? Bethany Schnelson. Bethany Schnelson. Carl de Goof, of course. Lacquer134. Anyone else I've missed? Have I missed anyone else? No, I think that's all of you. Thank you so much for dropping by. And I'm going to say good day to you. Or good evening. Good evening to you. And hope to see you again soon.